What's up, tubes? It's your boy Black Oni, and I've been wanting to make some videos for a while. I'm finally getting out of my own headspace and just going for it because there's something that's been on my mind, that's been on a lot of people's minds recently, and that's with regards to Battlefield 6 and the weapon system that they have implemented.
Black Oni.
Full disclosure, I have been a Battlefield fan for a long time. As flawed as 2042 was, I did still enjoy it for what it was, but I also recognize like how deeply flawed that game was, just from like a stylistic standpoint, the operators, the way it was balanced, and how it launched, especially how buggy it was, how awful all of that felt. There were a lot of issues with Battlefield 2042, but I will stand with my original statement about it, that the open weapon system was not one of those flaws. And for a lot of longtime Battlefield fans, the idea of a closed weapon system, there we finally got a headshot, and trying to get a few of those for a while there. The idea of a closed weapon system is integral to Battlefield. It's one of the things that makes Battlefield what it is. And the idea of having an open weapon system changes the way in which you have to approach things and the way in which they had to balance the game. So I'm here to make a case for why the open weapon class system is a good idea, why it makes sense, and why despite that, there are specific things that people have to look out for when they're playing the game. So I'll break this down a little bit. With a closed weapon system, when you're using a class, you are relegated to using what the only primary weapon that class is able to use. So if you're playing support, for example, typically speaking, you only have access to an LMG and a pistol. If you're playing assault, you have access to an assault rifle and a pistol. Recon, sniper rifle, you get the idea. Engineer, SMGs. And there are some variances and nuances in between each Battlefield game that allows a few more things, but really the equipment and role dictate the overall, like, what you can use with those classes, with the weapons. That's a closed weapon system. An open weapon system means no matter what class I'm playing, I can use whichever weapon I want. And the way that Battlefield implemented this and balances this is actually really smart, because the main thing you have to consider is whether or not the weapon you're trying to use is going to fit the hybrid style that you're trying to go for in your gameplay, and whether or not it's contributing to the team, and if the trade-off is worth it if you're missing out on certain bonuses. So for those unaware, each class in the open weapon system has a benefit associated with the weapon that you're supposed to use with that class. So for assault rifles, or for the assault class, the assault rifles are your designated weapon, and you have quicker weapon switching and a shorter transition from walking to sprinting. So you have a little bit more mobility options when you're using assault rifles on the assault class. So that's an incentive to basically lean someone towards using that weapon, but it's not necessarily saying you can't run a sniper rifle or a DMR if you really wanted to with this class, because there are equipment that you can use for the assault that is, like, they're exclusive to the assault, and it makes sense to do a system like that. With engineer, you receive a bonus for using SMGs with reduced hipfire spray. Really useful, because SMGs excel at hipfire. If you can take that a step further, you're really playing to that weapon's strength and not allowing the system to restrict if you want to have a little bit more expression in your gameplay. Support, you use LMGs, and it removes the sprint speed penalty when using LMGs when you're using support class. And then for recon, you gain advantages with sniper rifles, such as faster movement between shots, and I believe you have a longer breath hold for sniper rifles. So they still allow a lot of freedom of expression in how you want to play. If you want to play an assault class and use a sniper rifle, and then have an assault rifle as your secondary weapon, or a carbine, a DMR, you could do that. And you won't get those benefits that you would otherwise get if you were using the assault rifle specifically, but this at least allows you to be a little bit more open in how you approach situations. If you're an engineer and you're noticing every time you get out of your tank or out of a vehicle to help repair it, you're getting peppered by bullets from people, if you really want to, you can take out a DMR or a sniper rifle and start fighting back. You have an option to fight back in these situations that you never had in the closed weapon system. And, you know, again, for all the loyalists and all the purists for this game, I get it, right? Like, I know you want Battlefield to be a specific way, but at the end of the day, a system like this kind of opens the door. There we go. We're getting some headshots now, baby. It opens the door for so many more people to experience this game and actually have a really good time because they can have a little bit more freedom. Also of note, sniping in this game is so satisfying. If you didn't know, there's a attachment for sniper rifles that allows you to automatically zero in on a target that you're looking at. Wherever you point is where your bullet is going to go. Really useful tool. And again, here we go. So this is another one of those recon things where I just painted that target, that vehicle. Now engineers who are nearby will be able to hit that target a lot easier because it locks on with an RPG or with a rocket launcher of some sort. It locks onto it and it allows people to hit it much easier. And again, one of the perks and one of the things that you can do is a recon, which one of the reasons why you want to be using a sniper rifle with a recon, but it's not dictated that you have to use a sniper rifle with it, is that you can perform recon for your team. People at the front line don't always know where the enemy is. And if you can provide them even with a little bit of visual data as to where they are, it's a huge help. So in a game as chaotic and with all the particle effects going on, with all the smoke, with all the cover and debris everywhere, it's really helpful to have someone who's overwatching, who's able to paint some of these targets for people so that they don't have to wonder where all the enemies are. This is a thing that only the recon class can do. They are the only class that have access to the binoculars or the recon drone. And both of them are extremely powerful for providing information for the team. So, you know, that's again another way that they've balanced this game and they've allowed themselves a little bit of leeway to center the focus more on the role and the function and the gear versus just the weapon. I, for one, am a huge fan of this system, and I hope that they continue on with this system. I know that they have a playlist that is closed weapon. I've played it before, and it just doesn't feel as good as a experience personally to me. And again, I understand where people are coming from. They're used to this system that is balanced specifically around this idea of weapons being class regulated, but I prefer this so much more. Also, there are times when I'm playing and I'm sniping, I'm doing so well, and there's other times where I'm like, man, I'm missing like every other shot. But that's just how it goes. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Also of note, shout out to Sin, because for the longest time I'm like, man, how does he keep going down? What's happening? He keeps dying immediately. He's getting way more kills than I am, even though I'm sniping. So I can't even sit here and talk. But he was super nice. He was like, hey, I'm down, please help. Using his mic. People will sometimes use their mics in this game, and most of the time, they're pretty nice. They're pretty nice about playing, or they're like, hey, can you help me with this objective? Can you do this? Can you do that? It's been a really wonderful experience playing this. I know since this gameplay will be up, they will have already changed this, but we've already seen that they've put out a statement saying that they are changing the values for leveling up because it was just painful up until this point. But the progression has been a huge problem with this game, and I'm glad that they're doing something about it. But anyway, those are just my basic initial thoughts about the game overall and the open weapon system versus the closed weapon system. I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether or not you agree or disagree with this. Again, the idea is that Having a system like this just allows for a little bit more open expression for playing the game the way you want to play it. I'm all for it because it increases the fun. It changes the way that they balance the weapons around the classes, and overall it works as intended and it's fun. Thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna let the rest of this video ride out, but I'll catch you on the next one. Game on. Black Oni out.
There's an enemy sniper in your area. Forces are almost fully depleted. Do not stop. We need defensive support on the marked objective. Contact!
Save me, girth tacky. Oh.
Contact! Enemy infantry engaging! Coming in, I've spotted a hostile sniper in our mission area.